Test format, what does it consist of? As I told you before, the test consists of 4 components: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. In the listening, you're going to be having 4 sections or 4 parts. In the reading, you're going to be having 3 sections or 3 passages in the academic version, 5 passages in the general passage, but they still call them 3 sections. In the writing, you're going to be having 2 tasks. When I say a task, this means a question. So 2 different pieces of writing. In the speaking, you're going to be allowed to talk for 3 parts, 3 different sections. In each section, you're going to be asked different questions. In the listening, the exam lasts for 30 minutes. In the reading, the exam lasts for 60 minutes, like 1 hour. Writing, 60 minutes, also 1 hour. The speaking, only 14 minutes. In the listening, you're going to be getting 40 questions to be answered in 30 minutes. In the reading, also 40 questions in 60 minutes. In the writing, you have to be writing 400 words plus. And then in the speaking, you're going to be getting multiple questions. There's not really like a minimum number of questions. This basically depends on your answers. The listening, the reading, and the writing will be completed on the same day, exactly after each other. You're going to start with the listening and then the reading and then the writing with no breaks between them. What does that tell you? Do not drink a lot of water before the exam. The speaking is going to be on a separate day or on the same day, but after the exam, maybe after 3 hours, after 2 hours. Yeah? So it's going to be separate. Could be before the exam, could be after the exam, could be on the same day of the exam, but after a few hours. What is the difference between the academic and the general training IELTS? The listening is going to be exactly the same. Whether you're doing the general or whether you're doing the academic, you're going to be doing the exact same test. Reading, it is slightly different. Writing is also slightly different. I'm going to show you the difference now. Speaking is exactly the same. This goes to show that the tests are almost the same. Just a few minor differences. Listening. How does the listening exam looks like? So you know how it looks like. So you're going to be getting 4 sections or 4 parts. This is one of the parts. This is section 1 or part 1. It's going to consist of 10 questions. This is basically 2 pages. So the part on the left is 1 page. The part on the right is another page. You're going to be answering the question as you're hearing the recording simultaneously. Simultaneously means at the same time. You're going to be hearing and answering the questions at the same time. Simultaneously. Know this one. I think it's a good word to know. English people say it simultaneously. Americans say simultaneously. Depends on where you want to go, you say it. I like to say it simultaneously, okay? So this is part 1. This is part 2. So you also have 10 extra questions, multiple choice and matching. And then part 3, you have flowchart completion and multiple choice, 30 questions. And now you have 40 questions. This is section 4 or part 4. So 40 questions in total. These 40 questions are divided into 4 parts or 4 sections. Each section has 10 questions. You're going to be answering the questions as you're hearing the recording simultaneously. It's a good word. It makes you sound professional. All right. And then the answer sheet, they're going to be giving you an answer sheet that looks like this. The 40 questions that you answered should be transferred to something called an answer sheet. This answer sheet looks like this. See, we have 2 columns. 20 questions on the left side and then 20 questions on the right side. You add them up together, that's 40 questions, yeah? Look at the barcode on the right-hand side. See this barcode on the right side? This means your answer sheet is going to be marked by a computer. So if you wrote something incorrectly, you made a spelling mistake or something, 0. If you wrote E instead of I or I instead of A, good luck. In other words, 0. Just trying to be nice. Reading exam sample. I like the theme, to be honest. Very professional. All right. If you want to do the academic version, you're going to be having 3 long passages. Very long. This is one passage. Look, can you read this one? Good luck. This is one passage. This is the continuation of the passage. And then you have the questions, okay? You get some sort of questions, and then the continuation of the questions. This belongs to the first passage. Now, the second passage. Here, you've got questions, the second passage, the continuation of the second passage, questions for the second passage. This is the third passage, and then you've got the questions for the third passage. You have to read 3 long passages and answer 40 questions in 60 minutes. Good luck. And this is basically the reading answer sheet. This is how it looks like. I know it says listening on it, but it's exactly the same as the reading. Okay, what about the reading for the general training IELTS? The reading for the general training IELTS is easier than the academic version of the IELTS. Instead of getting 3 long passages, you're going to be getting 4 short passages and 1 long passage. And this 1 long passage is exactly the same as one of the 3 long passages in the academic test. That's why I told you, when you want to practice doing the general training IELTS, especially the reading part, practice doing the academic IELTS. I want you to practice on the long passages. So when you do the short ones, it's like a walk in the park. Walk in the park means a piece of cake. A walk in the park. Like when you walk in the park, have the mashawi. So practice doing the academic passages, even if you're planning on doing the general IELTS. So how do they look like? So passage number 1, this is how it looks like. See how short it is? Very short. This is passage number 1. Passage number 2, also short. Passage number 3, also short. Passage number 4, short. And then you get the long passage. This is passage number 5, which is a little bit longer than the other ones. So the reading and the general training version of the IELTS exam is much easier. Let's talk about the writing section of the exam. As I told you before, the writing section is different. So when you want to do the academic version, it's different to doing the general version of the IELTS. Let's talk about the academic one. In the academic one, you're going to be getting 2 questions. Question number 1, we call it task 1. Task 1 means like question 1. You have to write a report. So you have to write a piece of writing that represents a graph or a diagram or a map, something that looks like this. Yeah, so you have to write it. You have to write at least 150 words in 20 minutes, 20 minutes. And then you have another question where you have to write an essay. An essay is basically a piece of writing where you write your opinion. Sometimes you discuss other people's opinions about a certain topic, and you should write at least 250 words, and you should spend 40 minutes on this. So 20 minutes on task 1, 40 minutes on task 2, that would make up 60 minutes, in other words, 1 hour. So this is if you're doing the academic version of the IELTS. If you want to do the general training version of the IELTS, task 1 is going to be different. You're going to be writing a letter. Could be a letter to your boss, to your manager, to your friend, to your parents, and you're going to be allocating 20 minutes to write 150 words. And then task 2 for the general IELTS is exactly the same as task 2 for the academic IELTS. And task 2 is the most important one because it's worth more marks, because you have to write more words and you have to spend more time. This means you have to get more marks because you're spending more time and you're writing more words. So writing the essay is very important. And this is your writing answer sheet. This is how it looks like. For task 1, looks like this. For task 2, looks exactly the same. And this small piece at the bottom, this is exactly what the examiners are using to mark your essay. Because they're going to give you certain marks based on whatever you're basically doing in the exam. So you don't just write randomly. There's certain steps that you have to take to be able to get the required score. Let's talk about the speaking part of the exam. Speaking is exactly the same for both the academic and the general training versions of the exam. So you're going to be having 3 parts, as I already told you. In part 1, they're going to be asking you like random questions about yourself, your background, what country you're from, tell me about your hometown, tell me about your parents, tell me about your family, tell me about your hobbies. Very basic questions. And then you're going to get part 2. Part 2 is the most challenging part. They're going to ask you to talk about a topic for 2 minutes, non-stop. You shouldn't be stopping. 2 minutes without stopping. So they're going to give you this piece of paper, and then you have to plan your answer for 1 minute and talk for 2 minutes. Or to be more specific, from 1 to 2 minutes. The more you talk, the better. And then you have section 3 or part 3, which is basically a discussion. So you're going to be discussing a certain topic with your examiner about things in general. Like, what do you think about being a vegetarian? What do you think about pollution? What do you think are the ways to reduce pollution? Yeah, general sort of questions about certain topics.